Hi everybody, my name is Maxie, call me Maxie, and today's video, um, well, we're in a different place this time, different setting, somewhere where it's really quiet, like, really, really quiet, like there's probably nobody here. It's like a little pocket dimension, um, in this entire place, so, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this new location. Testing out, a little bit different things, but, um, yeah, so in today's video, it's just gonna be bit of a yap. It's gonna be a bit of a yap. Um, a bit scary talking about this, but letting the Holy Spirit guide me into just talking about what I need to talk about. So, today's video is actually going to be about my testimony on how I got here and how I went from being the person I used to be to now. So, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Other than that, I hope you guys really enjoy these videos that I create. I actually do enjoy sitting in front of the camera in a nice calm area where I get to, well, be myself basically. And it's something really new for me. So other than that, so yeah, I guess we'll get started. So a couple of years ago, I had joined this fandom for the very first time, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into, to be honest. I was thinking that it was going to be a really fun experience for me. I always knew that I was, into animals, things like that, and I grew up with my childhood dog and stuff, like the craziest things together. But she's passed now, but it's something I always enjoyed. Um, but honestly, besides that point, my childhood was iffy. It was very iffy, very 50-50. Parents trying to do the best they can at the same time. I struggled a lot when I was a kid. Struggled with, having that confidence in myself, or even interacting with my peers, things like that. Always trying to make friends, but they never really lasted long, or just I couldn't ever really tell human emotion, things like that. Um, but throughout my life, it's been a really weird struggle in areas that I didn't think I would struggle in when it came to social interaction, or when it came to the loneliness I felt quite often, being very different from the average person. I used to get bullied a lot. Um, I'm pretty sure most furries get bullied a lot, if I'm being honest. But I wasn't expecting to the level that I did get bullied on. I had a lot of anger, a lot of hatred, because of those different things. And what I've learned throughout that process is that all those different things is a part of the way that God has it intended it to. And I don't mean the way that God has those things happen on purpose. Um, I feel like a lot of people get confused whether things are from God or they're not, right? And unfortunately, at the end of the day, everybody exercises their free will, whether if it's in a good way or a bad way. That's just how the world works, from my understanding. Um, so yeah, I had a lot of those things happen in my life, and now getting to the part on how I actually knew about furries. It was in middle school, 2015, and I remember knowing about furry. I had stumbled across it on YouTube. I think it was like one of my friends was telling me about it, and I was like, ew, like these guys are so weird. Like how can you dress up in a whole thing? And then look at me now. I'm pretty sure this might be the story of most people, but I used to be a D1 furry hater. Like I'm talking about like more of a hater than freaking Stephen Curry trying to hit a 3-pointer, and people are just hating him just because he's that effing good. But it is what it is, right? Um, but besides that point, yeah, I was very hated for a long time, and then 4 years later, I got grounded for an entire month. That was not the funnest experience, but I got grounded an entire month for the rest of that January until February. Um, and I remember I was like, man, and oh, sorry, I forgot to leave this part out, but um, my room was getting painted at the time, so had a little bed and basically technically a little tiny doggy bed, technically, but it wasn't an actual doggy bed. It was just a little air mattress, but um, yeah. So basically, that's how things went for a long time. And then one night I was chilling. It was January 1st, literally 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm scrolling and I see Corey Coyote. I think that's his name. I'm not sure if he's still around on YouTube, but I stumbled upon him and I was like, oh, let me watch a couple. Like, this seems interesting. And then two things happened that day. Two things. My attraction towards the same gender, and also um, my love for furries. So yeah, this is weird. I've never spoken about this before, but um, yeah. So I had two of those things happen the same day, and then eventually I did try to fall asleep. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I woke up at like 8, 9. So I was on 4 hours of sleep, and in the shower, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna become a furry, right? And what I didn't know, by doing this, it's going to cause a lot of issues in my life. It's going to amplify it even more. Um, but to give you a little bit of context, so how I actually got the liking for all these different things is the fact that I literally watched like hours in hours in it, freaking hours of content from the guy, and it was constant convention videos and doing this and doing that, and being that young at the time, I didn't really understand too much, didn't really have I had self-awareness, but I didn't have the level of self-awareness to where I didn't think it was um I didn't think it was gonna hurt me so much, right? So fast forward, I go on Amino, I get my first Amino account, I draw my couple first personas, and I'm in school, and my peers around me, they're like, "What are you doing, man?" Like you're being an AI. Well, we don't talk about AI, but AI wasn't a thing back then. But um, it was like, "What are you doing with this? Like, what do you got going on here, man?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is my first persona. His name is Inks. He's like a brown coyote, blue brown coyote." And it was one of the very first personas I ever created. And then I drew more, and I drew more, and I drew more, and it turned into this newfound love of art. And even though I wasn't the best drawer, I really loved creating these personas. I wish I could put these personas on the screen just so I can show you guys, but yeah, I don't have the pictures anymore. Or at least I think I do. It's just not uploaded on my PC. But maybe when I get a chance, I can kind of post them. But besides that point, yeah, it turned into this really weird mess, and they've done a line well on Amino, and I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Amino, but that app is pure, excuse my language, but it's pure hell. Especially during that time. Um, I would not advise anybody while being at that age, being on that app platform. It has severely gave me a ton of mental issues that I was not expecting to have at my current age, and yeah, for people being groomed to just like crazy like experiences I've seen or even had, it just from being shunned, catfished even. But at that time I was looking for love. I was looking for love in all the wrong places. And it's just really strange, man. Really strange to kind of look back and think like, damn, like I came from a really, really bad place. But yeah, no, so after being shunned and stuff from that community, a couple months later, I'm being kicked out practically from that whole furry community after being quote unquote was deemed as being cheated on, but I wasn't the cheater. Um, and I had one person at the time, I won't mention her name, but I had a person at the time who helped me out. That was my first attempt, and I look back at it now, freaking with the butter knife, although that's like crazy work. I don't care if I get demonetized. But yeah, no, it just was crazy, that whole experience, just feeling that low, to a point where I just felt really lonely. I felt like, damn, like everything that I ever built up, my reputation, everything just went to crap, you know, went to complete crap. And I wasn't expecting that. It happened so fast. Like one moment I'm with this, what I thought was an amazing girl, and she just messed me over, and it turns out I was a guy, or I don't know. I don't know what happened with the situation, to be completely honest with you. Like this is my testimony. I'm being very humble, open, and transparent as much as I possibly can. Um, but yeah, I had that whole experience happen, and that just turned out to be a disaster. And after that night, you know, after the night feeling low, I had somebody talk to me out of it. I kept going. I kept going. Believe it or not, I actually kept going, and by keeping going, things got worse. Things just the next couple years just became a blur. To be honest, I'm still uncovering a lot of deep memories and things that were really bad around that time. So it's just a learning curve, learning curve. I wish somebody told me at that time to be careful, tread lightly, be careful who you trust, things like that, because you're gonna get messed over a lot. Personally, my experiences in the fandom was not the best. Majority of it was absolute hell, and this is why now I'm very reserved to myself. But that's just something I have to work out throughout time, and healing what God has for me. And I'm gonna get to the part where God comes in as well, for me, because I used to be somewhat of an atheist, slash agnostic. I used to believe in so many different things, from Buddhism to Confucianism to chakras and energy and all these different things. But we'll get into that. So fast forward to a year after. Well, not sorry. I'm going way too far. Let me take this slow. So soon, phone is unlocked one night. See things that I was supposed to see from my parents, and then I get grounded for an extra additional like a long time. And coming from a family that wasn't very accepting of coming out, things like that, that destroyed me. That made things a lot worse. So I didn't have the internet for like 3-4 months, I think, until school time came around, because I transferred schools as well during that time, so there was that factor. And it was a lot. It was a lot to go through. I'm not gonna lie. Very traumatic experience for me, having a whole situation and everybody knowing about it. My own family members knew about it, which was crazy. You would think your own parents will honor you when it comes to these things, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. That did not happen. Sorry if you hear my dog in the background, but no, unfortunately, that did not happen. And as I was saying with that, yeah, no, it was a really tough time. It was really difficult for me, and during that time, I was thinking like, man, I'm just gonna have to kill myself, because, and yes, I'm gonna say this on YouTube. Like I said, I'm being very vulnerable. Shout out to Tim Ross, by the way, for this. You guys should really look up. You guys should really listen to the podcast that he has. But I was gonna kill myself at that time, so this would probably be the second time I was gonna try to go through with it. And so I struggled really bad with ideation, depression, and all these different things, and really bad anxiety during that time, and very isolated because I had nobody, not even my family members I could trust, So very, very, very dark time for me. So moving forward from that, I eventually get back to school. I get my phone back, and everybody I knew was gone. Everybody that I had, all my online friends, they were all gone. Except for one person. I'm not gonna mention any names, but if you're watching this video, dude, I love you so much, man. I really do. Hope we get to talk to him again, but sometime again. But he helped me a lot throughout that time. He's a very great friend of mine. To this day, he's a brother of mine. At this point, still my brother from another mother. But shout out to you, man. Other than that, yeah, it was a very difficult time for me, and I just remember like the pain and like isolation, the loneliness I felt um, from that time, and I just didn't know what to expect. I didn't know that things would be so bad. Yeah, during that time, I was transitioning into a new life. I did eventually make up new friends. I found it just so happened one day I was walking and these guys were talking about furries and stuff, and I remember I was like, "You guys into that?" And it was like, "Yeah, yes." And I was like, "Ah, I got my little group." So for about a couple months, I had a little group, and that was really nice to finally fit in for once. And yeah, and I just remember having that friend group for a while, and so many things happened during that time. People telling me their personal stories to people, dying, and it just was a lot. Still, I still was recovering from last year and things from that. So, um, and then this newfound thing came in and came through, and I just remember I was like, wow, this is so new to me, and I don't know how to handle this. And one of the girls um, that knew me at the time, we had talked about a couple of things, and they were into me, but I had so much trauma in that area that I couldn't go on, with dating them and things like that, and because they were part of that community, and for me, I want you guys to understand that I do not have hatred in my heart for that community. However, the things that happened to me because of that, this is why I stray away from it. This is why I'm a very big advocate for being careful and understanding that there's more to life than just what you identify as. So, moving from that forward, yeah, we separated eventually. Once COVID happened, it was very unexpected, but COVID happened, and that's when everything shot up to the highest peak I can imagine. um, I pretty much lost all my friends. That whole group I was with and everything, I lost all of it. And I think that, oh man, I was gonna keep these guys. It's gonna be my friends forever. Nah, man. People, people once have the high scores, man, they go do their own things, or they only pick certain people. So, again, I was alone. I barely remember 2020. To be honest with you guys, I barely remember 2020, like at all. Barely remember any of that stuff. I still have to process and memory and reallocate those times, all that time I lost. But that whole year was just full of nothing that I can remember. Just being chronically online and always just scrolling on TikTok. But then something sparked that day. My newfound idea of a new reality of trying to start an online business. Now I didn't know what online business was at the time, but I was looking forward, and I just remembered that I'm seeing these guys with these cool cars and all these different things, or I've seen people enjoy their lives and people in fursuits and stuff like that, and it made me really sad. It made me really upset because um, I didn't have context to any of the stuff that was going on behind these closed doors, right? And I just felt like I felt completely useless because I didn't accomplish anything in my life. I didn't do anything. I only graduated. I don't want to go to college, things like that. And eventually I got to a point where I was going to try to attempt again. And this is something that was that ongoing for years on it. And I'm going to get to the part where I think that I should do get better. Because things do get better. It is very true when people say, like, oh, nah, like, the one thing probably most people who are in that mindset do not want to hear is that things do, like, will get better. But it's the most cheesiest thing, but it's the most truest thing you'll ever hear in your life, and that's that things do actually get better. You have to lock in. I'm kidding. But you just have to lock in though. Besides that point. So yeah, man, this is giving me a lot of flashbacks. Not the good kind. But yeah, fast forward to 2021. All the way to August. I don't remember those past couple months before that, but being chronically online, still having ideation, all these different things, right? Suicidal ideation, and it got to a point where I go back on TikTok, and yeah, it got into TikTok, and I was scrolling and all these different things, and I started finding people of God that were around my age, and they were talking about their experiences and their testimonies and things like that. And I was like, this is pretty cool. I want to try this out. So for a while, I had my own TikTok, and obviously it wasn't no furry stuff, but I talked about my testimony a little bit at the time. Now I have a way longer testimony now, but how I came to Christ, things like that. But eventually in August, I think August 21st of 2021, I officially gave my life to Christ. But what do you mean by officially gave my life to Christ? Or at least what I thought at the time. I was making all this content and all those different things, but I still had the hole in my heart. I still had that really deep void in my heart. That loneliness, that anger, that hatred, people pleasing, things like that. A couple of things I wanted to mention throughout this testimony is that I've always had really high self-awareness, but it wasn't positive self-awareness. It was negative self-hate, really deep amounts of self-hatred, not lack of respect for myself, things like that. And I was trying to get away from the very thing that kept me behind. Trying to get away from the very thing that kept me in these constant cycles of lust, or constant cycles of interacting with people that weren't really the best. And it caused me to be in a really dark place mentally, being in these cycles, wanting to find love, but it turned out to be lust more than things, or friends with benefits, things like that, and that's just not the best way to go out with things. And do I regret it? No, I don't regret it, because it taught me a lot. It taught me about how people really function when they don't have the things that they need from God, or the things that they need within therapy. I believe in both. I believe both can simultaneously work together in order to grant you a better area of your life. Besides that point, so dated somebody, and we ended things off, and that really broke me. I thought this was the first girl that I was going to be able to go see, marry, and long distance, things like that. But unfortunately, none of those things worked out the way that it should. And I'm glad they didn't. But none of those things worked out the way it should. So moving forward from that, it really broke me for a long time. And I reverted back to my old ways. And every way, I had a total relapse. And that's when I had met ex-boyfriend of mine's, and we didn't last too long either, but something I realized was that I kept trying to find love in places that only God could fill my heart, and only therapy could really help me in those areas, and to where I'm, I am who I am now, and I'm not perfect. The whole purpose of this video is to realize that I'm not perfect. I did a lot of bad stuff, and good stuff too. I helped a lot of people, and done a lot of bad stuff with people too. And there's so many people that need to speak up about this, or people who need to talk their way through these things. One thing that has severely kept me going throughout this time is understanding that there has to be more. Understanding that in my mind, there has to be more than just this. There has to be more than just this reality, you know. But continuing forward, yeah, 2022 was also a blur. Not gonna lie, I barely remember that year too. But still, same thing: depression, suicide ideation. Things got even worse, and you would think that most people say like, oh, you know, like your life gets better with Christ. It does not. It gets worse, much worse. Okay, and you might think, what's the point of believing God if things get worse? That's not the point. Throughout the story, you're gonna realize what my point is when it comes to serving God, or my dad. I call him my dad, but yeah. So moving on to 2023, and I still had the same cycles, trying to get in, trying to get out, and every time I would get back up and I would try to self-improve, I would try to lock in. I started an online business, and none of those things worked out for me. And I just kept failing and failing and failing and failing and failing over and over again. You would think that I would have any more attempts. Oh, buddy, I had way more. We're getting to 8 now. I wish I could do 8 like this, but no, we're getting to 8 now. The highest number ever. 8 times. But yeah, I struggled a lot. But nope, still here. By the grace of God, I'm still here. But other than that, then something interesting happened. Something really, really interesting happened in my life. I started having proof of concept. And what I mean by proof of concept, I kept meeting people in my life that, even though I had people pleasing tendencies, people would just tell me like, oh, you're so helpful, or you saved my life, or things like that. And I just couldn't believe that. For the longest time, I could not believe those statements because it felt like it was a lie, especially from the enemy. But I thought it was a lie this whole time, because I'm thinking like, me, like, I'm not a good person because I've done all these bad things. You don't know me, you don't know what I've been through, right? But I suffered a lot trying to help other people, and now I'm in a place where I don't have any friends anymore, under my girlfriend. She was in my last video, but well, video before that, but she's amazing. she's truly a blessing in my life. So moving forward from that, I experienced a lot of pain and suffering and all these different things, and it got to a point where I'm at now. So 2023, I meet another person, and this is what happens when you're not healed and you're not loving yourself and things like that. Got into a relationship 3 days, man. There was so many red flags. It was unimaginable, and I still got into it. And this next couple months were the worst months of my life. From constant, like three attempts in the span of those couple months to suicide attempts is what I'm talking about, by the way. A couple months to nothing just made me happy. No matter what I did, from playing freaking COD to crashing out to like just man, just a lot, man. Going back and forth with the fandom, trying to find a Christian community that can uplift me, and even that went sour. It just, no matter what happened, they just seem to keep dying, and I keep wondering like, where is God at in all of this? Like, where is he? And I'm praying, I'm like, Lord, please help me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And transitioning to 2024, latest 2023 to 2024, all during this time, by the way, the testimony, I had several jobs. I kept losing job after job after job off the just pure BS, from COVID happening with my first job to my second job firing me off of just racial systemics, unfortunately. I'm black. I'm not sure if you guys know that, but I'm African American as well. So, and I deal with those issues from time to time. Furry wise, I haven't had to deal with it. That's one thing I did love about this fandom, is that I didn't have to deal with those things too much. I'm saying too much. I had a little bit, but not too much. But besides that point, Yeah, I was in a really low point in my life, and like I don't know what to do, man. So um, I went back to college a second time, and the other thing I forgot to mention is that I did actually eventually go to college, but I failed super bad. I was on academic probation for about a year, and I had nothing going for me. I literally just only had that job, and the only thing that I got into that really made me happy during that time was sneakers, man. I freaking love sneakers, man. I still love them to this day. Not as much as I used to, but I would spend all my last dollars on just brand new Jordans, and I never had Jordans. Um, During my middle school and high school years, I was a Converse kid, until I bought my first pair of Air Jordan 1s, and it was the stash in 2021, and it was like, damn, like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Like, it changed my life forever. Um, but yeah, it changed my life forever. So, moving on from that, I'm now on to my college journey, my second time. I took CNA classes, things like that. And I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. Dealing with this relationship that failed miserably, her ghosting me and stuff like that. Won't mention their name, obviously, but ghosting me and all these different things, and it really sucked. It really, really sucked. And I was thinking, I'm done with women, I'm done with men, I'm done with everything. I'm just gonna lock in. And I had this villain arc where I was just like trying to be cold, trying to be distant from everything, and well, what do you know? I can't do that. Deep down, I knew that that's just not who I am. Um, but yeah, moving forward with that, didn't realize what I was getting myself into, and at that point in time, you know, this is the first time I actually accomplished something all the way through. Didn't give up, didn't fail, didn't. I mean, I did fail a couple times, but I didn't give up, and I made it. Right? You would think that would be a caveat or a pedestal towards the next direction, right? But that did not work out the way it needed to. So that fell through because I was so afraid of doing that job that I just avoided it for a long time, and I searched for other things. And it's like, oh, I'm told I'm not going to be successful, or I need this, I need that, I need this. You know what I mean? I'm hearing opinions from so many people that I'm not hearing myself. And then most of all, I didn't hear from God during these times. That's what I thought. But fast forward to August 2024, my third job comes in, become a sales consultant. And I was so young at the time. These people are much older than me, in their 30s, 40s, 50s, like have full-blown families. I'm just like this single black dude in like this random place I don't belong. And but God had me there. I got my first taste of real money. Like making freaking almost $2,000 a week from just sales. But I didn't make any sales, obviously, because I was so nervous and cold calling people. I hated it. I hated it. That's probably the first job I actually had where it's actually understandable the reason why I was fired. But I was getting to the money, and I got into the drop shipping, and man, I loved it for the first couple like months. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing freaking products, I'm selling them online, things like that. And guess what? No sales. I had it for an entire year, no sales, no success, nothing, right? And I went through so much pain. And I even asked God, I was like, God, if this is for me, please like guide me through this. Let me make some money from this. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't have the mindset. And I'm gonna make an extra separate video about that. But I didn't have the mindset or anything, right? So from a lost relationship to failing at drop shipping to losing my job again in December actually. I got fired in December. Still in a really bad lifestyle and everything, and struggling with myself. And then I meet this girl. On Instagram threads, out of all things. I meet this girl, and she's really special. And during this time, I'm talking to a bunch of people. I'm avoiding talking to any men at this time. Like I'm like a freak man. I'm done with men. And I want that comfort from a woman. You know, that love and stuff. I wanted so deep inside my heart. Because I said, the child was not the best, but could have been better, but it wasn't the best. And we kicked it off instantly. We basically became best friends in that moment. We connected so deeply with each other. And a couple months, down the line, I get my fourth job, which is where I'm working now. And all because of God, and you're probably wondering, how did I come back from all of that, having that lifestyle, having all these different things? There was one thing I was missing. It was the fact that I needed to trust him. I needed to sit by and let my emotions be a thing, right? I needed to put myself in, actually give my life to him, because what I realized from 3 years ago, I did not actually give my life to this guy. I didn't give my life to Jesus. I did not, because I'm so afraid, because I was like, I want to keep living this lifestyle. I want to keep having this, but it left me with more and more and more emptiness, and I didn't want that anymore, right? I got so sick of it. So this girl I met changed my life. Now we're at where we're at now in 2025, later years, right? And how I dealt with my same-sex attraction and things like that. That doesn't mean I have occasional struggles with it or anything like that. This is an ongoing battle. If you're probably wondering why it's an ongoing battle, it's simply because deep down, I truly don't want that for myself. Deep down, I just want that love. But that love does not come from other people. That love comes from Jesus himself, from God, my dad. That's what I call him, my dad, but my heavenly dad. But he has to heal those wounds that's in here, in your heart, in your soul. He has to be able to heal those things for you, right? And therapy was a huge help as well. Still is a huge help, even though I'm brand new to it. But yeah, fast for a couple months, I'm still struggling really bad. But it eventually got better. I started having a better mindset. I started attacking things differently, and eventually I quit dropshipping, and I'm in a whole different business model now, which I'll dive into it more probably later on. I'm not going to discuss it too much. But yeah, as a recovering porn addict and masturbation addict and things like that, I am proud to say that God has redeemed me from so much. He truly has. This is why I come onto YouTube and speak about my experiences, because I want people to get free, and realize that there's so much more to life than just this. Even if you're a furry, not a furry, there's so much more to life than just what we have right now, and it's possible to meet the right person. I wanted love so bad. I can not tell you guys how much I wanted love, and I wanted kindness. I just wanted to feel like I was a part of something. And also realizing I have undiagnosed autism as well. That's another thing I found out about myself, that I actually might have undiagnosed autism, and that makes so much sense of why my whole life has been the way it has been. So yeah, other than that, it just makes for this whole testimony thing, and got to the point where I'm making money where I'm not be making the money I want to make right now, but it's supplying my dreams, supplying YouTube. I have a PC now, I got a car now, I dreamed all these things, I prayed about these things, and it came into fruition at the right time. Even when I had these materialistic things, the car, the PC, the watches, the sneakers, all these different things, none of those things made me happy. The only thing that got me into having peace, not happiness, peace, is through Jesus Christ, therapy, and my lover that I have now. She's amazing. Shout out to her if you're watching this video. But and now I'm in a place where I might still have problems with my depression, anxiety, or suicidation, but I don't struggle with those things as much as I used to anymore, and I have a more positive mindset, positive sense of self, and I believe that I can do anything through Christ. I believe that I can overcome my addiction, I can overcome my depression, all these different things, right? And that it's all part of his plan. It's all part of this testimony. And of course, there's going to be another video like this later on. I'm not sure, but whatever God wants me to do. But that's it. That's my testimony. Not sure it led up to me doing this today. Well, Holy Spirit, to be honest. But I'm really glad I got to tell it. And you take what you want from this, man. Or whomever is watching this. And I hope you really enjoyed this experience, talking with me, getting to know me, things like that. Because my name's Max, you know. It's my online name, but it means a lot to me. And of course, I have a couple more funny stories along the way. It's not just all bad. I have a couple more funny stories along the way, and how I got this identity, which I think I will make a video about how I got the name Max, things like that. But yeah, that's my testimony. So I hope you guys really enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody. See you later.